Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. So in this one we are going to look how to create this beautiful dust particle effect. This is a dust particle system, but I think you can use the same setup for pretty much anything. Actually, I've been looking for the same kind of dust particle effect actually using geometry node setup. So this is entirely done using geometry setup. Now let me first of all show you a shot that I created using the same dust particle system. Right, as you can see guys, so this entire dust particle system is created using the Blender's geometry setup. So as you can see, we have to get some of the other things like the lighting and the camera blurriness and all sort of things to get it a little bit realistic, but I'll talk about everything in this tutorial. And also guys, as always, I have included this complete project file on my Gumroad, so you can go ahead and check it out if you want this. So with that being said, let's get started. Right, now first of all, I'll show you my file. So this is my scene. So if I show you the geometry setup here, this is the setup, right? So it's not much more complex, so you can see. And yeah, so this is what it is. I have applied some glow color for this basically to see. Anyways, now you can see also if I select this, so we have the particle object and the particle material and then particle scale, and as you can see, the particle scales is like that. And then density, so you can increase the density or really dense particle system like that. So and then we have the speed, we can increase the speed like that. And also we have the seed number, which is changing the way they are working in the particle system. Right, so these are the default settings that I have also included this project file, as I said before, so you can go ahead and just download it. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about everything from scratch. So let's get started. First of all guys, I'll remove this particle system and I'll create everything from scratch. We also have a little tiny particle created right here, so this is going to be my particle, but I'm gonna remove this one as well, so we can start everything from scratch. Right, so first of all guys, we need to have an object to get the particle system, so I'm going to go ahead and add a cube. So this is going to be my space. Then I'm going to select this cube and create a new geometry setup. Right, first of all guys, what you have to do is create a volume inside of this cube. For that, I can simply go ahead and convert the mesh to a volume using this mesh to volume node. So I'm going to get it and then I'm going to put it here. So now we have our volume created inside of the box. So the secondly guys, we can distribute points inside of this volume. So to do that, I'll select simply distributes points in volume. So I'm going to plug it in here, and I can see a couple of particles spawn inside of the volume, so we can increase the density. All the way I'm going to type in 100, and then we can convert these particles to a particle system, basically a dust particle. So we need to create a dust particle object. So I'm going to go here and select shift right click to get my 3D cursor somewhere here, and then I'm going to go ahead and add icosphere. And then you can reduce the subdivisions to 1, because we're not going to use too much of polygons, because this is just a simple small particle. So I'll also reduce the size somewhere around here, and also I'll apply the scale. So if you go a little bit closer, and I'll jump to the edit mode, and maybe we can, and then I'll go here and then select everything here, and then I'll go here into this mesh, transform and randomize, and then go here into this little window. And I'm going to go reduce the randomization a bit, like 0.0 around 0.5. This step is just optional. We can randomize this because the dust particles are not supposed to be identical or really geometrically symmetrical. So that's why I just change it. Anyways, you can simply keep the way it is. And then we have to get some reference to this object. So I'm going to get my icosphere. First of all, I'll rename this one. Is going to be my particle, right? And this is my space. All right, now we can see that when we select the particle, the geometry node is gone because those are bind to the object. So I'll select this and then I'll come over here and select this little pin icon to keep my geometry node setup stay here. And so I'll go here and then just select the particle system and put it here, right? And then I can use this reference to create some instances within this particle system. So I need this icosphere to be inside instead of just points. So I'm going to go ahead and add instances on points node. And so this allows us to create and refer to this icosphere here. So I'll get my geometry node and then I'm going to put it here into the instances. And just after that, and I can see my icospheres are spawned as instances. So those are not as instances, so I have to check this one in. So the particles are exactly the same size, so we want some variations for these particles. So I'll simply go ahead and add a noise texture. So I'll get the noise texture and also get that color ramp. And also I'll need a math node, a simple math node. So I'm going to connect my noise texture to the color ramp and then the color node to one of these math node. Basically, we're going to go convert that to multiply and then connect this value to the scale. I can see they're having a little bit of variation in its scale. So they're having different variations. And also we can control the scale as you want. So I'm going to keep this value maybe a little bit, increasing the value a little bit. And then we have this sort of looks. I'm going to keep it and let's continue. So the next thing, I also want to change the rotations, but I'm going to use a different technique. But before, I actually want to get a little bit of variation, a little bit of random variations to this. So I'll set position node. I'm going to use the set position node and then I'll plug it here. So basically this one, what this one does, so it is essentially changing the location of this. What we want is simply a wiggling effect to this particle. So how can we get it? So I found the easiest way to do is add some curves per each of the particles, and so let them continually going around that circular path and then get a random variation to those paths. So to do that, so simply we are going to create another curvy effect. So this is going to be a curve circle actually. So I'm going to take this and then I want to get a sample curve. So the sample curve allows us to get the curve data and allow the particles to move along these curves. So we can go ahead and then connect the curve to the curve, and then we can use this position to identify what are the positions of this curve. And so to move these individual points or the instances around the curve, so I have to add a math node. This is going to be vector math node. So I'm going to go add a vector math node and also a position node. The position node is basically getting us the information of the locations of all these points. So we can connect the points to this and then we can connect the position to this basically. So if I connect this vector right here into this position and then we have this factor value, if you go ahead and then increase the factor value, and I can see all the particles are moving along the path. Actually, this is just a simple thing, but I need these particles to move with time. So to get that effect, I can simply go ahead and add a seed time node, so which is increasing with the time, and then we can connect this second hand to the factor. So now if you play the animation, also guys, I'll get another window here real quickly to show you the timeline. And then if I play this animation, and I can see it is played, but it's supposed to be continually moving along the curve when it comes to the end, but it doesn't work like that. The reason here is guys, actually that the factor is a 0 to 1 value, right? So when it hits the 1, it basically stops there and it doesn't continue on. So we need some mathematical equation to get us this continue moving effect. So we can simply do that using another math node. So just going to be a simple utilities math, and then I'm going to copy this one again. So we need to have two math nodes actually. So the first one, I'm going to use multiply, which is used to control my time, so I can multiply and then I have more control over the time. And then I'm going to plug this one here, and then this one is going to be a fracture. So if I plug the value right here into the factor, now you can see which is continually moving along this circular path. So now actually these particles are moving along a curve. I want a little bit of randomness going on, so I just want to get a noise texture. So I'll get the noise texture and another vector math. So this is going to be a multiply, and then I'm going to place this somewhere here and then add the multiply between this and then the color to this right here. So if you play this, I can see a little bit of randomness. Basically the particles within these motions are also wiggling a little bit, so we can do the same thing once more. This time I actually plug this one right here. This time I'm going to actually use a refract, and then I'll plug right here. But now, as you can see, which is pretty close, but it is not the final result. Like it is moving, crazily around this circular path. So actually, to fix that, what I found is I unchecked the normalize of these noise textures. Now you can see it is, crazily wiggling at the same spot. So that's pretty much it. And so now you can see these are moving like actual particles, but these really fast. So I can go here and then use this right here to slow it down a little bit. I can see it a little bit settled down like that. And as I said before, I also want these particles to be rotated when it moves. So I can use a scene time right here, and then I'll connect this right here to the rotation, and then you can see those are moving with rotating. And also these edges of these right here, now you can see these are harsh edges. We can simply go here and then I'll add that set smooth, shaded smooth, and then you can see these are get shaded smooth. And also finally I'll add a set material. Then I can select a material right here. I have already created a material. If I go into the viewport shading, now you can see the material is applied, and I can see it is moving like some dust particles. So the most of the time, guys, as the final touch, I can connect these things like the values and the density and all sort of things, and then I can simply rename those properties, and then you can see those properties are right in the modifier section, and then you can simply change or tweak these numbers right here. If you've done pretty much all the things to get the realistic look, what most of the time I do, guys, I'll use a cube and create a new shader. I'll remove the principal BSDF and then simply create a principal volume. Then I'll plug the volume to this volume, and then I'm going to reduce this density to be a little bit lower, somewhere around 5 or something, and I'll change my render engine to cycle. And quickly I'll also get a camera. Then I'm going to close a little bit like this, and then lock the camera in, and then also I'll add a light source inside. This increases the intensity to 200. Maybe change this color to a little bit like that. I'm going to go here into this camera, and then I'll enable the depth of field like that, and then I'm going to create an empty axis like this. So this is going to be empty object. So this is going to be the empty object at the center, and then I'll select the camera, get the eyedropper, and then select the empty, and then the camera is going to be focused to this empty. I'll also f-stop to a little bit low, and then you can see a nice little particles like that. If you try to render this one, as you can see, the particles is ready. So this is the final result, guys. As I show you that my first clip, the animation, I use the same particle system with different colors and different properties, so you can get the same effect with this particle system. So as I said before, the complete project file is on my Gumroad. You can check it out. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.